Let me start by explaining why I was at Walmart that day. My sister works long hours at the hospital, and since I work from home, I often watch my niece during the day. It's a win-win situation. My sister gets reliable childcare, and I get to spend time with my favorite 7-year-old. Plus, my job allows me to take breaks whenever needed, which makes it perfect for running errands with a kid in tow. This day happened right when the coronavirus panic was starting to set in. You know, that time when everyone suddenly decided they needed enough toilet paper to last through the apocalypse. My sister had mentioned we were running low at her house, so I figured I'd grab some while doing our usual grocery run. We'd already been to 3 stores that morning with no luck. My niece and I walked through Walmart, and I noticed how empty the shelves were getting. It was like watching one of those end-of-the-world movies where everything's picked clean. The few customers we passed looked anxious, their carts filled with whatever they could find. We turned down the paper goods aisle, and there it was, one lonely package of toilet paper sitting on an otherwise empty shelf. I grabbed it, feeling pretty lucky. That's when I felt someone basically stab my shoulder with their finger. I turned around to find this red-faced man glaring at me. His kid, probably around 10, stood next to him with the same entitled expression. Both were wearing expensive workout clothes that looked like they'd never seen a gym. The man demanded to know where I thought I was going with the toilet paper. When I simply replied that I was taking it home, he got even angrier. He started ordering me to restock the shelves, insisting that he needed more toilet paper. When I expressed my confusion, he went on a rant about how stupid the one package per customer rule was and how his son supposedly needed it. His face was getting redder by the second, and I could smell coffee on his breath as he leaned closer. At this point, my niece was clutching my shirt so hard her knuckles were white. I could feel her trembling. No kid likes hearing adults yell. I handed her the toilet paper package so I could face this guy properly. She held on to it like it was her favorite teddy bear. Finally realizing what was happening, I tried to explain that I didn't work there and asked him to please find an actual employee, pointing out that he was scaring my niece. He refused to listen, insisting that I was an employee on break and that as a customer, he had first pick of the toilet paper. He kept gesturing at my casual clothes as if they were proof I worked there. Before I could respond, his kid suddenly darted forward and snatched the package right out of my niece's hands, running back to his dad like he'd just scored a touchdown. The force of it made my niece stumble backward. I was about to lose it when a Walmart employee appeared, looking completely done with everything. She had that weary look of someone who'd been dealing with similar situations all day. The employee called out the man, revealing that this was his third time that week trying to take more than one package of toilet paper. I stood there confused until I noticed a second employee wheeling over a cart, and my jaw dropped. This guy had somehow hoarded an entire cart full of toilet paper packages somewhere in the store, probably hiding them behind other items or in different departments. The first employee told him they wouldn't check out that much toilet paper and that he needed to leave. The second employee started restocking the shelves, while the first one escorted the man and his kid out. They were trying to buy 10 packages. In the middle of a shortage, the employee who helped us grabbed one of the packages and handed it back to us, apologizing for the whole situation. To help my niece get over the scary encounter, I bought her an ice cream from the McDonald's inside Walmart. When we sat there eating our ice cream, we watched the man arguing with a manager in the parking lot, gesturing wildly while his kid mimicked his actions. His sunglasses fell off at one point, and he nearly stepped on them in his rage. Eventually, they got in their shiny SUV and peeled out of the parking lot empty-handed. When we were leaving, I overheard one employee telling another that they'd put this guy on some kind of watch list. Apparently, he'd been trying to buy out their toilet paper stock every few days, probably to resell it at inflated prices online. The store had finally had enough of his hoarding schemes. I later found out from another regular customer that he'd been banned from 3 other stores in the area for the same behavior. I'm a 16-year-old boy who's always had a special connection with toys. While most kids my age have moved on to video games and social media, I still find joy in collecting them. It's not just about the toys themselves, it's about the memories they hold. and the happiness they bring. My little brother shares this passion with me, and seeing his face light up when he gets a new toy reminds me of myself at his age. When my little brother's birthday was approaching, I knew exactly what I wanted to get him. He had been obsessing over this limited edition toy for weeks, showing me commercials and magazine clippings whenever he could. The way his eyes sparkled when he talked about it made me determined to get it for him, no matter what. So, I woke up early one morning and headed to the local toy store, the excitement building in my chest as I walked through the doors, knowing I was on a mission to make my brother's birthday special. The store was bustling with activity, but I stayed focused on my goal. After searching through several aisles, I asked a sales associate about the limited edition toy. They apologetically told me that they were sold out. I was about to leave disappointed when I spotted it, the last one sitting on a shelf in the corner. The employee must have missed it. I quickly grabbed it, feeling accomplished and relieved. That's when everything went wrong. A woman, let's call her Karen, stormed over to me. She didn't even bother with pleasantries, just demanded that I give her the toy. I tried to explain that I had just picked it up and was planning to buy it, but she wouldn't listen. She just kept insisting that I hand it over. Before I could process what was happening, she pulled out a pocket knife and pressed it against my side, keeping it hidden from other shoppers. In a chilling whisper, she threatened me and demanded the toy again. My hands were shaking as I held onto it, but feeling the cold metal against my side, I knew she wasn't joking. To make matters worse, she then demanded that I not only give her the toy but also pay for it. I nodded slowly, too scared to argue. We walked to the cashier together, her knife still pressed against me. When I pulled out my wallet with trembling hands, the security manager approached us. He asked if everything was all right, clearly noticing something was off. Karen kept the knife hidden but pressed it harder against my side. When the security manager insisted she step away from me, she tried to brush him off, telling him to mind his own business and claiming we were just making a purchase. The security manager didn't buy it. He moved closer, and that's when Karen lost it. She pulled the knife away from my side and lunged at him, but he was ready. In one swift move, he grabbed her arm and twisted it behind her back, making her drop the knife. He then called for someone to contact the police. While we waited for the police, I called my mother. She arrived at the store just as the police were putting Karen in handcuffs. When I explained everything that had happened, my mother was furious and immediately told the police she wanted to press charges, emphasizing how Karen had threatened her son with a knife over a toy. The police took statements from everyone involved, and the store's security cameras had captured everything. In court, they showed the security footage of her threatening me and attacking the security manager. The judge was clearly disgusted by her behavior and found her guilty of assault with a deadly weapon, attempted robbery, and extortion. When Karen tried to defend herself by claiming she was just trying to get a toy for her child, the judge shut her down immediately. He pointed out the severity of threatening a minor with a knife over a toy and sentenced her to 5 years in prison, with no possibility of early release. When I finally gave my brother his birthday present, his joy made everything worth it. But now when I go toy shopping, I always make sure to bring my mother or father with me. You never know when you might run into another Karen. Let me tell you about one of my most memorable experiences from my time working at what we call the fancy bowling alley in town. I worked in customer service for over 7 years, with most of that time spent at this establishment. The place attracted quite an interesting crowd, mostly because it was considered the high-end option in our mid-sized town. We had all the latest equipment, polished lanes, and even a decent restaurant attached, which meant we attracted both serious bowlers and families looking for a nice evening out. I was pretty good at handling most situations, even when dealing with entitled customers. Our pricing was straightforward. Lanes were rented by the hour, typically $20 per hour. We'd give everyone a 5-minute grace period when they started, and if there were mechanical issues, or if a large group was near the end of their game, 8th frame or higher, we could offer an extra 15 minutes free of charge. Pretty reasonable, right? Well, Let me tell you about this one family that came in. It was a father, mother, and their two young daughters. The father was someone I recognized from our bowling leagues, one of those guys who thought they were professional bowlers because they owned a rolling bowling bag and some worn-out bowling balls. He had this massive belly that seemed to be a common trait among our self-proclaimed pros. My co-workers had already warned me about him. Apparently, he had a history of trying to get free stuff from us. He'd complain about everything from the lane conditions to the temperature of his nachos, always trying to get something comped. They started their session and opened a tab since we also had food service. About an hour in, I heard this loud crash. Now, if you've worked at a bowling alley, you know that distinct sound when a bowling ball hits the sweep, the mechanism that clears the pins. There's this tiny window where someone could hit it while it's moving, and wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what this guy did. I knew right away what had happened because this wasn't the first time someone had pulled this trick. He waddled over to my counter and demanded that I fix the broken lane immediately. I told him I'd call our mechanic right away and apologize for the inconvenience. The lane monitor was showing the jammed arm code, so I called our mechanic. It took him 2 minutes to fix it, which was pretty standard for this type of issue. After the fix, the father insisted he deserved 15 minutes of free time for the interruption. Since it was the first incident, I gave him the free time. Big mistake. I could see the calculating look in his eyes as he walked back to his lane, and I had a sinking feeling this wouldn't be the last time. Not long after, when his time was running low again, the exact same thing happened. He came over and told me the lane was broken again, demanding more time. Against my better judgment, I gave him another free 15 minutes, but then it happened a third time. This time I charged him for the extra time. Our policy clearly stated we only give one free 15-minute extension, and this was posted at the front counter in big bold letters that were impossible to miss. Fourth time, same thing, I charged him. Fifth time, charged him again. I could see him getting more agitated each time I told him there would be a charge, but he kept doing it anyway. When he finally came to settle his tab, all hell broke loose. The father exploded in anger when he saw the charges, yelling that they were wrong and demanding to see my manager immediately. His face turned bright red, and he was practically spitting as he yelled. When my manager arrived, the father went on a rant about how I was an idiot and complained about our lanes constantly breaking down. He was furious about being charged for the extra time, conveniently forgetting that he was the one causing the problems. I explained to my manager that I had given him 2 free 15-minute extensions, which was already more than our posted policy allowed, and after that I charged him for the additional time due to repeated incidents. I made sure to mention how each breakdown happened suspiciously close to when his time was about to run out. My manager reviewed the tab and not only backed me up but also decided to charge him for that second free extension I'd given him. My manager explained that according to our clearly posted policy, he needed to pay for all extensions except the first one. She even pointed to the sign right behind us as she spoke. The father completely lost it then. He started ranting about how our lanes were garbage and swore he'd never return to our establishment. His face was purple by this point, and his wife looked mortified as she tried to quietly usher their daughters toward the door. He stormed out after paying, cursing the whole way, and making sure everyone in the building could hear his opinions about our establishment and staff. He showed up for league night 3 days later, acting like nothing had happened. He even had the nerve to try to joke with me about lane conditions. He knew exactly what he'd been doing. He was just mad that he finally got caught trying to scam us for free time. After that, though, he never tried the broken lane trick again. I've been working at a makeup counter inside a large department store for about 3 years now. It's a pretty sweet gig. We rent our space from the department store but operate independently. Think of it like those Starbucks inside Target, you know? We have our own inventory, prices, and systems separate from the main store. This detail becomes important later. So the other day, I'm organizing our display when these 2 older women with thick European accents approach my counter. The first one, who I'll call Karen, is wearing this massive diamond ring that immediately catches my eye. It's honestly hard to miss. Her friend is trailing behind her like a shadow. Karen slapped a coat on my counter and demanded to know the price with the discount. I apologized and explained that I couldn't check that for her since we're a separate store within the department store, so I don't have access to their discount information. Karen asked me what I meant by not being able to check, questioning if I actually worked there. I confirmed that I did work there, but explained we're like a store within a store. I pointed to the main service desk, which was less than 20 feet away, telling her they could help with exact discount information. Her friend scoffed at my explanation, clearly unimpressed. Karen's voice started rising as she asked if I was stupid and insisted I just check the price. I tried explaining again that I physically couldn't check their discounts because our system is completely separate from the department store system. Karen, now practically shouting, accused me of being lazy and not wanting to do my job. I attempted to express understanding of her frustration while reiterating that I literally couldn't access their discount information, again suggesting the nearby service desk could help immediately. This back and forth continued for what felt like an eternity but was probably about 10 minutes. I tried explaining it every way I could think of, using analogies, speaking slower, even drawing a little diagram on a piece of paper, but they were having none of it. Finally, Karen completely lost it. She wound up like a baseball pitcher and yelled at me to hold the coat. And I kid you not, she straight up threw the coat at my stomach. It was a heavy winter coat too, so it actually hurt. Then they both stormed off, muttering in their language. I just took the coat and hung it on a nearby rack. It wasn't our merchandise, so honestly I couldn't care less what happened to it at that point. About 30 minutes later, I hear this blood-curdling scream from across the store. Guess who comes running back to my counter? Karen, but this time she's crying hysterically. Through her sobs, she told me she had lost her ring, claiming it was worth $15,000 and was pure 24-karat gold with diamonds. I expressed my sympathy but told her I hadn't seen any ring. Karen immediately pointed at me and blamed me for the loss, saying if I had just checked the price, she wouldn't have lost her ring. Her friend jumped in, agreeing that I had made Karen upset and insisted that I should help them look. I looked around my counter area, but I knew it was pointless. They had been wandering all over the store for the past half hour. I suggested they might want to check with store security, but they weren't really listening anymore. What happened next was almost comical. These two women spent the next 5 hours running around the store like headless chickens, looking under every rack, checking every corner, and harassing every employee they could find. They even got down on their hands and knees with their phone flashlights, crawling around the floors. They never found the ring. I checked with our general manager yesterday. It's been almost a week now, and nope, still no sign of the ring. I thought maybe if she hadn't been so nasty about a simple price check, if she hadn't thrown merchandise at me, and if she had just walked those 20 feet to the service desk, she'd still have her precious ring.